because I mean, I think the example you just gave is brilliant to sort of elicit this point, because you just talked about that desire to be taught and to learn how to harness the power of your sexuality, which is this sort of intense expression of who you are, right? That feels like in many ways like the height of being fully present in reality. That feels like a kind of engagement and dance and art and science that's all playing out. Like there is something that is enwrapping about that for us, right? That we're drawn into. And most of us grew up with none of that. No meaningful education apart from,
Right.
Maybe some like awkward conversations around it. And so there is that, like, I love that you said, like, I responded as you were saying that, as there's something in me that like lights up to that,
Right.
that like wants that wants to be shown that. Now there is obviously an integrated way to get that,
Right.
and a disintegrated way to get that. And taking advice from Bonnie Blue, for example, would be a bad idea. A disintegrated way
Do not
to
recommend.
have that, but she's expressing something that we all desire, I think, as
Right.
men.
Yeah.
The kind of confident expression of sexual desire towards you, the kind of embodiment of a woman who's willing to be vulnerable enough to be naked and exposed in front of you, and you in front of her, and both of you feel comfortable and confident in that environment, rather than
Right.
like it's fragile and delicate, and we neither of us know what the heck we're doing, and
Right.
awkward and weird, etc. Right? And that's real.
Yeah.
And that's a real desire. And I think it's also useful to expand that beyond the sexual, because most of us men have grown up with the framework or the context that intimacy, communion, connection is primarily, if not exclusively, experienced in the context of sexuality.
Right.
Right? That's it. So there's something more that even a Bonnie Blue within the realm of sexuality is also filling a need for, that has nothing to do with sexuality. Right? It's seeing yourself through the eyes of another as confident and capable. Again, not having anything to do with sex, right? The kind of empowerment of having somebody who has it, that has the notoriety and the fame of the world, saying, you're good enough. You made me feel good. You performed well, right? All of those things that, again, separated from sexuality, are all things that we need to know, that we need to hear, that we desire to hear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where it gets real, right? Is when we start to consider, where beyond sexuality do we have a deprivation of need? Where we have a missing link, where even things that we've never thought or considered that we might actually need, because we grew up in a cultural context, a family environment, a community environment, where these things weren't expressed by anybody, right? The example I often give, and having the opportunity to speak and go to events, is oftentimes I'll have guys stand up and hug the guy next to him. Most guys bro tap, and it's super uncomfortable and short and bop, bop, in and out.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, that's right. We're going to do a 5-second no pat hug, which was something that was modeled to me by a mentor of me
Dude,
many years ago. And you're just going to hold on.
That's so good.
And I want you to notice what happens, right? Because there's an initial wave of the discomfort, the uncomfortability of it. And then there's a kind of regulating thing that happens there. There's a kind of calming down that occurs.
Yeah.
Which mirrors and models what happens when we ride the wave of craving, when we allow ourselves to open up fully and feel it, right? Human touch is incredibly important, and for the vast majority of men, they can count on the number of times on one or maybe two hands that they've hugged their dad or even their mom, where they've heard "I love you," where they've experienced this kind of affection in their life. And we wonder why we find ourselves going to porn as the sole source of that kind of intimacy and affection now, as adults. I think that's worth considering.